Now to the war in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the shelling of Kherson city today as an act of terror. Authorities say at least 35 people have been injured. The Ukrainian military says that 2 Russian missiles struck the city of Kramatorsk in the Donetsk region. The city's mayor says that 2 schools, a dozen apartment buildings, and 3 private homes were damaged there. This latest fighting, of course, comes on the heels of Ukrainian President Zelensky's historic visit, that is, to Washington, to thank the U.S. for its support. And, of course, he wants to ask for more.
Your support is crucial, not just to stand in such fight, but to get to the turning point to win on the battlefield. We have artillery. Yes. Thank you. We have it. Is it enough? Honestly, not really.
And joining us now is CNN military analyst, retired Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton, who is joining us. And I want to ask you just how well, from a military perspective, do you think that the president did in making his case to lawmakers and to the American people?
Well, Martin, good morning. I think he did an excellent job outlining his needs, his requirements, and his future requirements. He's in a very tough position. While Ukraine has a defense industrial base, it's based on the old Soviet model in many respects. Now, they've modernized a lot of things, they've innovated in a lot of areas, and we saw a lot of that at the very beginning of this war when they used, for example, the Turkish drones and also some indigenously produced drones and other weapons to put a real dent in what the Russians were doing. But when President Zelensky spoke to the Congress, he made it very clear that this is a fight that is going to continue because if it didn't continue, Ukraine would cease to exist. And I think, from a political perspective as well as a military perspective, he did an excellent job in getting that point across. It's not a never-ending conflict, but it's definitely a conflict that we're in the middle of right now.
Yeah, there's no question that speech, the way he delivered it, the whole look, everything, extremely powerful and historic. President Biden, of course, says that Zelensky made a very compelling case, as we were just noting here. The $1.7 trillion spending bill that is, of course, awaiting the president's signature includes $45 billion for more aid to Ukraine. Zelensky says that financial help is crucial. Take a listen.
Thank you for both financial packages you have already provided us with and the ones you may be willing to decide on. Your money is not charity. It's an investment in the global security and democracy that we handle in the most responsible way.
I want to ask you about Republicans in Congress, because they have said that the U.S. cannot give Ukraine a blank check. Could this be an indication that their support could be waning?
It could be, Martin, and it's one of those areas where, of course, for political purposes and also for financial accounting purposes, it becomes important to have a clear accounting of exactly what's been spent and how much has gone and how much is supposed to go in the future. That makes perfect sense. The problem is it's interpreted as a signal, as being a signal of wavering and of not being a fully committed entity in providing aid to Ukraine. So there's kind of a fine line. You don't want a situation like we had in Afghanistan where billion went missing and couldn't be accounted for. But on the other hand, you want to make sure that Ukraine stands firm and is able to conduct its military operations without interruption and without risk of defeat.
There are new weapons that are coming from the U.S. to Ukraine, including the Patriot missile system. And I'm wondering if you have any concerns. This is a system that, once launched, can actually chase Soviet or Russian airplanes. If a Russian plane went back into, say, Russian airspace, does this change the whole dynamic of U.S. involvement?
Well, the Russians would say it probably would. However, a lot of planes have been shot down over Ukraine and already in this war and even before this war. And, there's the Ukrainians have not lost the ability to fly some of their aircraft. The Russians failed to achieve air dominance. This Patriot system allows the Ukrainians to not only maintain what they have in terms of air dominance and the the ability to go in there. They don't have that. They won't get it with just one Patriot. But what they will get is better protection of their infrastructure, at least in certain areas, and that'll probably be around Kyiv. So this kind of situation, if they were to shoot down a Russian plane that had gone back into Russian airspace, it would probably result in a war of words. It might result in a firing of more missiles against the Ukrainians. But the fact of the matter is that this is something that the Ukrainians may have to do. It is, after all, a war, and it is something that the Ukrainians have said that they don't want to go beyond their borders when it comes to attacking the Russians, but they may have to do some of that in order to prevent the Russians from attacking them.
Understood. Colonel Cedric Leighton, always good to see you. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you too, Martin. Thanks so much. It's always great to be with you.